St. Louis.
Fan report. Aloha and mahalo. It is a Sunday. There's no hockey, but there is me. Yes, I had a crappy Sunday trying to make some money, and it didn't do very well. But here I am. It is We Went Blues Day. Yes, it was that day 3 years ago at approximately, this is about the time the game was starting. I thought I had Bally Sports, but the person who loaned it to me may have changed their password or whatever, and so it's out. But hey, here I am. We're going to talk some hockey. I'm going to try and bring some guests in. I'm going to invite some. I don't know if anybody will come, but hey, we'll leave it open for interpretation and see what happens. You never know. There's people out there that may be willing to jump on the Blue Note Fan Report bandwagon. One of the things that I want to talk about today, it was an article that was on. It was an article that was on on the Hockey Writers, and there was something in it that kind of leaped out to me and bit at me, and it was, this perception that one player is worth 6 or 7 players or 5 players, and for me, that's there. Look, I love what O'Reilly's brought to the Blues. I absolutely love it. But we overpaid. Yes, we overpaid. Right? In all actuality, the trade worked out great, but we gave too much. Now, what we gave ended up falling away, but we still gave too much. And because of that, there we go. Let's see if someone jumps on from inside the rink. But because of that, I just, oh, Brad, yeah, your birthday's tomorrow, isn't it, buddy? Happy birthday. Happy early birthday, Brad. Very happy birthday. Well, I'm okay with this playoffs, the Stanley Cup Finals, because I think Avalanche fans are going to get it handed to them. I really do. I don't think this is going to be what Avalanche fans think it's going to be. They've never faced a goalie like this, right? And this, they're as close physically to the Blues as any team that the Avalanche has faced. I think that this is gonna blow up right in their face. I really do. I even lost. You know what? I lost. Hey, Ashley. Last minute thing, but if you're available, hop on. If you're not, just listen to us. We love you. You know that. What I'm looking at right now, and I'm hoping you guys will share this out, get some friends, share it in your groups, let them know. Come on, let's talk some hockey. I want to talk about this article, and now I want to be really careful. This person who wrote the article is also in Let's Go Blues, who's a big supporter of us, and I don't want to cause any issues. They're using a podcast called BlueNote, which I'm somewhat okay with, somewhat not. But it is what it is. I just got to deal with it. The Blue Note Fan Report's been around for a while. Blue Notes is kind of it's an open. It's you can't really, whatever. No, I like Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is going to do something. There we go. You guys are getting to talk to each other. There we go. Okay, so that's done. I'm bouncing around. What I was looking at was, okay, so I want to pull this article up here real quick, see if I can find it. Give me a moment. Let me go into my groups. God, I love you guys. You guys are so much fun. And I was trying to do DoorDash today, and they gave me an order, and when it first popped up, oh, great, man, $13, not bad. Usually, that's within a mile. I didn't see that it was 12 miles away, right? Because, you get these orders when you're driving, and you only have a minute to accept them, right? So I accepted the order, and it didn't come up where it actually was until after I picked up the order, and then they're like, oh, tough. You know, I could have just canceled the order after I already had it and took it back to the store, but I wasn't going to do that. I delivered it. These people gave a $3 tip to go all the way across the island. That's the problem. The problem isn't the app itself. It's that we should be making our money on your tips. People should be tipping. And if you're ordering something from across the island, like if you're in South County and you're ordering something from North County, if you're in Oakville and you're ordering something from Maryland Heights, you should be tipping according to that. $1 per mile minimum, $1 per mile. But that's just me, right? That's how I feel. So this article was written by, and I'm trying to bring it up here. Where is it now? I can't. Here we go. It's called 2 Blockbuster Trades for the Blues this offseason, and it was written by Ethan. And I don't remember his last name. I sent him a message. I sent him something hoping that he'll come on and see if he'll be willing to. By Ethan Carter, right? And you know, he talks about, you know, the O'Reilly trade and the Shen trade. And then he goes, his first trade he has is solidifying the defense with Chichurin, right? Jacob Chichurin, who's on the Coyotes. And he didn't have a good year. He hasn't had a good couple of years, to be honest with you. But the trade that he has is this. The Blues get Jacob Chichurin and give up Zachary Bolduc, Nico Mikkola, Klim Kostin, a 2022 fourth-round pick, a 2023 first-round pick, and a 2024 third-round pick. That's 6 guys for Chichurin. No. There's no one player out there. I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't think that any of the top players in the league are worth that. That's too much. And it's like with O'Reilly. We overpaid for O'Reilly. Hey, Ian, how you doing, buddy? We absolutely overpaid for O'Reilly, right? It's way too much to give up. And I think that, now I know part of this is me. I don't like the sacrifice. But when I look at this, the picks, I can give away picks. I'm okay with picks. I get picks. I don't get players. I think you're giving up way more. You know, they've got their own podcast. They're like me. I'm not going to go into it. But, you know, it's still, it's not even, to me, that there's, you know, Chichurin's not worth that. To me, you know what Chichurin would be worth? The 3 picks. I'd give up the 3 picks, and that's all I'd give up for Chichurin. You know, what he's trying to do is make money work. Well, you know what? Make money work a different way. You make money work a different way. You don't give up guys. You don't give up talent, right? Mikkola? Let me see if I can find that article now. Here we go. Bolduc, Mikkola, and Kostin. No, Bolduc and Kostin is the one in there that I'd be okay with giving up. The one. Not Mikkola. Mikkola's got way more upside than Chichurin. Way more upside. Right? And he says it could be viewed as an overpayment at first glance. It's way overpayment. And he goes, but I made sure to avoid including Scott Brunovich. Well, here's the other thing. Then he says it opens up the Blues' opportunity to move the contract to Scandella. Surface, guys. He's looking at the surface. Surface. Remember that. Surface. So much under. Scandella did so much more. When Scandella was out, look what happened to the Blues. Look what happened to their defense. Look at the goals they gave up. Right? Look at the things that happened when he was out. Look what he can do on the power play. Right? And then the other one was getting Pasternak from the Bruins. Now, he stole this trade, and he admits it, from, there's a Jay Fresh Hockey put this out, and Jay Fresh originally made Jordan Kyrou, Zach Bolduc, and a 2023 first round unprotected for David Pasternak. Well, first of all, I wouldn't do that. And then he added Nico Mikkola. Dude, what's your issue with Nico Mikkola? Mikkola was one of the best defensemen we had this season. He filled in a number 2 spot, which he's probably a 3, and did great. Did great. I'm sorry. He did, everybody's looking at the surface. I get the give to get, but it's not. But sometimes, look at what we gave. Now, be honest. Be honest. Everyone's happy with the O'Reilly trade, and I am too. Right? In all actuality, it's worked out. But wow, did we give up too much? Right? We gave up a pick that they didn't even use. They traded away. Right? They didn't even use it. Well, why would he even put that pick in there? They didn't even use the pick. They traded it away. Right? Ian says these rumors swirling around. The only player I think for sure moves in the summer is Fiala. As much as I want the Wild to keep him, the question is how much can we get for him? Yeah, that is an issue. And I don't see Fiala being moved in the division. Well, I see, that's the thing. It all depends. Maybe the division's willing to pay more for him. Right? So that's what you got to look at. Now, I thought Fiala was a free agent. Right? I thought Fiala was a free agent this year. Is he not? Is he a restricted free agent? Let me get in here and look here real quick. Get back into cap friendly. Wild. Where are the Wild? The Wild bunch. Minnesota Wild. Here we go. So the Wild, Fiala. Oh, he's an RFA. Well, you know what? Yeah, you're not. I don't know what he's. Let me see what his last contract was. He's a RFA with arbitration rights. 25-year-old right wing who was born in July. He was. Oh man, he can go. He's only gonna. If I'm him, I'm only signing a 1-year contract. Total of 13 over a career of 8 seasons. AAV of 1.3. That's all he made 1.3 with with bonuses. Wow. If I'm him, see, if I'm Fiala, I take a chance on myself. Right? I take a chance on myself. Arbitration eligible. Well, not per year. I don't think he gets that for a year. Right? And I don't think that you guys are willing to pay that for a year. Right? He's going to go to arbitration, and if that's what he asked for, the qualifying offer would only be about 1 point. See, he made 1.3, so a qualifying offer would be 1.7. That's all they got to offer him, 1.7. Right? And if he's smart, he only takes a 1-year deal somewhere, and then goes from there, and then builds off of that. Right? Where are we at, guys? No. I did invite Ethan on. I haven't got anything back from him yet, and I did it today, so last minute, so I don't expect anything back, last minute like that. But, I would be willing, anything I write, I'd be willing to debate with anybody on it, Absolutely would. We'll see if Ethan accepts my friend request and comes up and looks at my stuff. We'll see. And let me see if I can. Now, here's something. The other thing that I want to talk about was our friend Doug Shelton from Let's Go Blues put a post out, and he says, "I appreciate all the nostalgia, folks, but we're not going to win another Stanley Cup with Shin and Barbashev on the third line. They were built for the playoffs. Kyrou and Thomas were not." I don't agree with that. I think Thomas is the guy that you're going to need in the playoffs. Thomas is the guy that's going to get you to the playoffs. Let me see if I can let's see if I can find the show here real quick and let them know that we're talking about this right now, and see if I can get somebody to join us. Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Get someone to join us and talk some hockey. Hockey. We're talking hockey with you. Come on, come on, show me some hockey. Show me a link so I can bring it to you. Show me a link so I can bring it to you. I'm working, guys. I'm having fun. I know you're having fun. Um, there we go. Let me mute that. There we go. Okay, now I got the link. That wasn't what I wanted. I did the exact opposite thing of what I wanted. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. 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 Okay, I'm working on it, guys. Working on it. Working on it. Working on it. I know you're sticking with me because you're my buddies and my pals. Where we at? Where we at? There we go. I mean, I look at the Blues. I look at the Blues roster, and I look at their cap. You know what, Ian? Let me send you a link, buddy. Let's send a link. Let's talk a little bit about the Central Division and what's going to be going on with them. You know, I actually think that the Central is going to get a lot weaker next season. Ian, I'm putting the invite in the group. There you go, bud. Just put it in the group to see if someone pops in. For me, you know, I look at this and I think that everyone looks at this season as somewhat of a failure, and I don't. I don't see this season as a failure. I actually see this season as a huge success and something to build on that I think a lot of people are missing, right? I really do. Oh my goodness, we're in trouble now. Yes, we are. We're in trouble. As I welcome in my buddy, my pal, my friend, Ian from the Minnesota Wild. He called himself a Wild fan, number 57. You know, who is 57 on the Wild? Or are you just throwing that number out there?
Oh, that's just my number I threw around.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like me putting the Wild Blues fan 91, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And we all know who, if I do 91, who 91 would be, right?
Yeah, Tarasenko, yeah.
Yeah. But no, okay, so just that, you know, fair, just asking a question. So I'm talking about we'll first talk about this article that was out on the Hockey Writers, right? And the hockey writer that did it, Ethan, I've tried to get him on the show. You know, hopefully we will get him on because I really would. He talks about trading Zachary Bolduc, Nico Mikkola, Clem Costin, a 2022 fourth round pick, a 2023 first round pick, and a 2024 third round pick for Jacob Chichurin.
Yeah, I kind of caught the end of that conversation.
Yeah,
when I came in here. I think that's too much. That's
way too much, right? It's not even close to an overpayment.
Well, I feel like
it's way beyond an overpayment, is what I meant.
Yeah, well, I think like reasonably, you could say like 2 prospects and maybe a first round pick. I think Chychrun's worth that. I think he's shown that he's a pretty above average defenseman in that terms. Where I think that would be somewhere you could start. But I think that price is too much, and it all depends on what kind of market he's in. You know, like how many teams are in on it. Because if there's like 10 teams that want Chychrun, then you could see his price going up, right? But yeah. I just don't know who's really all in on it. So I can't give an accurate on what I would think. I think comfortably, I think you could say 2 prospects and a first would be what I would be comfortable saying would be reasonable.
You know what? Well, I'm looking at this, and if I'm, wow, man, wow, they have in the first 3 rounds. Arizona has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Oh yeah.
3 first-round picks. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what they want picks, great. But when you look at Chicherin, right? Chicherin, $4.6 million, and he's a UFA in 2025. So, okay, the money wise, I actually think here I'll tell you this. I see this. I think you could afford him and just trade picks.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
and just trade picks. I don't think, because you know what? So the Blues have about 10 million available, right?
Yeah.
And they only have 4 spots to fill in all actuality. Perron, Leddy, Bozak, Husso.
Well,
Bozak and Husso are both gone.
And I think that's partially why maybe he's overvaluing Chychrun a little bit, is because of how good of a contract he's on. He's on a pretty decent deal for a bit. But I mean, like as for the, I think I can actually 100% agree with you. I do think that the Central Division is probably going to get a bit weaker now.
They're going to get huge weaker.
Well,
right?
I mean, there's
only one team. There's only one team that I think is going to be stronger next year than they were this year. Only one, maybe 2.
I think I'm going to try to see if I can guess what you're thinking of. Let me think. Would you say the Blues?
Yeah.
Would you say the Blues? Yeah, I was thinking. Well, and here's the deal.
Well, hold on. And this isn't me. I know you're thinking, oh, guys being a homer. This isn't me being a homer. It's not.
That's the first team that came to my mind, because where my mindset's at is I look at Colorado, right? I see McKinnon needs a contract. I don't know how you can bring.
They have 12 free agents.
Yeah, and I don't know how you're going to bring Kadri back for something less than $9 million. Nishushkin. I mean, just
Kadri's not a $9 million player. I think Kadri's going to price himself out of the market.
He had a career year. I don't think he's worth that much either, but that's what he's going to be asking for. So
he's not going to get it. If some idiot team gives that, it's going to be a team where he's never going to have a chance at seeing a cup again. And it's going to be a team that his contract is going to be a not Parayko, Petrangelo type contract that handcuffs a team.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, and then I look at the Wild, who finished second. They're my team. Look, the way it works is we're going into a cap crunch where we have $7 million available to re-sign. We have Fiala, who still needs a contract, which is why who was going to be looking for somewhere between $7 to $9 million.
Okay, well, here's the thing with Fiala. You guys can get away with murder on Fiala.
Yeah. Well,
you offer Fiala 1 year at 1.1 or 1.7. Well, you know why? You know why you offer him that?
Why?
Because that's a qualifying contract. If somebody else puts money out there, with him being an RFA, they got to give up compensation. As long as you offer him a qualifying contract, all you have to offer him is an increase.
And that's I think that's what Bill Guerin. I have pretty positive certainty that's probably what Billy Guerin's going to do. But I can see him also shopping him around in the draft. Everybody's seen the rumors. There's lots of rumors of like maybe Ottawa or maybe a deal with the Devils.
If you're going to shop him around in the draft, they've got to know that they can negotiate with him ahead of time.
And that's the thing. I could see a scenario where it might be a bit of a sign and trade type of deal, but I mean that's still iffy. But the whole point all this winds around to is that the Wild are going to be taking an 85-point player directly out of our roster, and is Marco Rossi, who's supposed to make the NHL next year. Freddie Gaudreau and Matthew Boldy, is that going to be enough to combat the 85 points we're going to lose? I would say probably not, being realistic.
You think you're going to get Gaudreau?
Oh, no, not Johnny Gaudreau. Frederick Gaudreau.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Wow, you are about to shock me there.
No. You don't have the cap space for Gaudreau.
Gaudreau. Johnny Hockey is an interesting guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get paid, but he may not get paid the way he thinks he's going to get paid.
You think so? I think somebody would be willing. That's why it's so tough, because I think the Wild.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think a lot of guys don't realize. They were thinking, everybody, when you signed these contracts, you were thinking that by now the cap would have been about $4 million more than what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. The cap didn't go up that.
No.
It didn't, because of COVID and all that other stuff. The cap kind of stayed frozen. and it's only going to be 82.5 million, right? They said it's going to go up 1 million.
Yeah.
It was 81.5. It's going to go up 82.5. It could. They have said that it could go up a little bit more depending on the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So maybe it goes up. Maybe it hits 83. Let's for the sake of argument say it hits 83 million. Great. A $9 million contract is more than 10% of that number, and there's 23 guys on that roster.
And that's why because I know a lot of
you have 1 out of 23. You have 5% of the roster, less than 5%, 4% of the roster taking upwards of 10%, of 12% of the contract. That's an issue.
And that is the issue now. And I think I want to say you could disagree with me on this, but I think a prime destination for Johnny Gaudreau is probably New Jersey. Now I know it's kind of a hometown kid there as well, but they need wingers. It makes kind of sense. They have enough cap space to give him similar to what they want, and that's kind of sucks for the Wild because I know a lot of Wild fans, including myself, see New Jersey as a good trade candidate for Fiala. But I don't know. It's going to be tough because there's so much rumors. You know that not everybody's going to get moved. But like I said in my comment, I think I'm 100% certain that Kevin Fiala is not going to be in the Wild sweater next season. Yeah. I know it doesn't work cap wise, and now it's just about what can we get for him. Now I want to say, what would you think he is worth? He had a career season, right?
Okay.
He had 85.
I don't look at one season and say that earns you a paycheck.
That's where my next point is. He's about a 30-goal scorer. He had 20 goals the previous seasons, but they were both shortened seasons, about 50-something games and then 60-something games. So he would have hit 30 goals for both of those seasons. Yeah. But so he's about he's a good 30-goal scorer. He's a solid 30-goal scorer. He's a good play driver. What would you think would be he would be worth in a trade?
I don't know about a trade, but I say that Fiala, for a contract-wise, for let's say a 4-year contract, is a $5 million player. Okay. I'd be willing to pay $5 million for that. But my problem with him is 1 30-goal season doesn't make me, and you can look and prorate the other ones. I get that, but I also look at, he hasn't helped Minnesota get to that second round either.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and that's another thing. And not only that, Fiala has some injury concerns. You may remember this, and I brought it up last season. When Fiala was on the Predators, he broke his leg on a legal play. Went into the board, snapped his leg, and he had to come back from that. And I think he has come back from it. But at the same time, there's just some questions about how easy he broke his leg.
Yeah,
and didn't he miss some games due to injury this season or last season?
He did not. He did not miss any games for this year or last year. But besides that, I see a lot of Wild fans wanting multiple first round caliber assets for him. I don't know how much.
Not going to
happen. Be able to do that.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I'll tell you what. You know who would? The only team that I could see right now maybe giving you multiple first rounds would be Phoenix or Arizona if they wanted that caliber of player. But they're getting rid of all that. They're getting rid of all that. They're trying to. They want to hit that. They want their salary to be at the floor, because they're not going to bring in enough money through ticket sales at a 5,000-seat arena. Yeah. Right. Well,
and they want the pick. They want the first overall pick next year. Is what they're.
They're not the only one. I've heard Chicago's going for it. You got 2 teams in the same division. Yeah. Trying to go for Connor Bedard.
And rumors have come out that they're trying to shop DeBrincat. Boston's rumored to be trying to shop Pasternak. And if they trade Pasternak, I think that GM needs
while you say that, the guy that wrote that article also had a Pasternak trade in there.
That's right? So weird. I just don't know why you would trade Pasternak. He'd be somebody.
So original. You know Jay Fresh Hockey, right?
Oh yeah, familiar.
Okay, Jay Fresh put a whole bunch of Boston trades on there, and one of them he put in, and he asked 2 wins. Was Boston trades Pasternak for Kyrou, Zach Bolduc, and a 2023 first round unprotected.
Ooh,
who wins? Now our guy added Nico Mikkola to that trade. No.
No, that's
I still don't do it. Here's my thing. Mikkola and Kyrou. Kyrou, I think everybody looks at Kyrou and goes, well, what about that slump Kyrou had? What about that slump when he went down and he wasn't scoring and all? Kyrou got confused. And I'm sorry, and where's Robert Morton? He's about ready to pound on me, right? Kyrou got confused, and he absolutely got confused because of the coaching, right?
Yeah.
He got his butt chewed out for a mistake, and the very next play, Ryan O'Reilly made the same mistake, and nothing was said.
Yeah.
So that's that. What's the best way to call it? That's that. The conflicting stories, conflicting things that you're hearing, and you could tell it in his game. You could tell he played a confused game, right?
Well, and then here's what I'm thinking. In a trade where you're trading a star player for you're trading because Pasternak is a star player, right? But
Yeah.
I don't think the gap from Kyrou to Pasternak is Bolduc, Mikkola, and a first-round pick unprotected.
No.
That's the problem.
No, it's not. There's too much in there, right? And not only that, here's the problem with this, right? Does Pasternak fit in with the Blues? And the reason I say that, look, I know he's a great two-way player. So is O'Reilly.
Yeah.
So is Tarasenko. And Tarasenko not getting a Selke vote was a travesty, right? Shin is a two-way. We have enough two-way players that if you introduce another one, you're taking some offense away.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that offense away. If I'm going to bring in, I think the Blues need to do. You either do one of two things. You either bring in a shut down, stay-at-home defenseman to go on that top line, to take that top line, to take Leddy's minutes or Parayko's minutes and bring Parayko down. Or you bring in a Mike Hoffman type, put 30 goals, 35 goals in the net.
Yeah.
And then build your defense up from within.
Yeah.
I don't think that you need to do the other things that everybody wants to do. And here's the other thing. I don't think you tinker with what works. And now Redbeard has been trying to get me going, right? To get me going. And I'm ignoring it. So give me a little bit of what am I looking for here? But the Avalanche should absolutely be terrified of what the Blues do in the offseason. Because right now, the only team that beat them was the Blues. And in two of those wins, they damn near lost them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Game one, the Blues came out and played the worst game they could have played. The Avalanche played the best game they could have played and damn near lost that game.
Well, that's what we were saying since the beginning of the playoffs. Whether it be the Wild, whether it be the Avalanche, whether it be the Blues, whoever comes out of the Central Division was going to the Cup final. And I had that belief. I know some people liked Calgary more, some people like Edmonton more. I didn't believe in any of that. I had them going to the final. I had whoever was coming out of the Central going to the final, 100% guaranteed. And because they're just too strong. And now I guess the Wild maybe not because I think.
Well, this gets back to what we originally opened this conversation with. I think all but one team, maybe two, in the in the Central Division is taking a huge step back next season. Well, right? Yeah. I say the Blues are one of the teams that's not taking a step back because in all actuality, this team that scored 109 points is going to come back essentially the same.
Yeah.
Essentially the same. And now let's continue here. Then you look at the other team that I think can take a step forward is Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm. That was my second team.
Colorado is taking a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota is taking a step back.
Yeah.
Nashville is taking a step back. Dallas is taking a step back.
They can only get older. Dallas is only getting older, so I understand.
Right? So, and then you have Chicago and Arizona that both said they want Connor Bedard.
Yeah. So
right?
that's
So
the thing. And I don't
the power balance in the West is going to shift to the Pacific.
Yeah.
It's going to shift to the Pacific. You have Calgary and Edmonton that have just shown you that they are playoff caliber teams. They are playoff caliber teams, and Edmonton is a goalie away from a cup. A goalie away. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
A goalie and a defenseman.
Yeah, I'd say
a goalie and a defenseman away from a cup. Calgary, unfortunately, may have to rebuild a little bit, but I think that I think taking Johnny Gaudreau out may help them. May absolutely help them. Because now you change. So what happens now is that team that was originally built around Gaudreau could be built around Tkachuk.
And then you could add other complementary forwards that aren't going to be strapping you with $11 million. And I think I kind of see what you're going at with that. And now when it comes to the Wild, I 100% agree that we're going to take a couple of steps back and this is just realistic. I mean, you're looking at our lineup, looking at a player like Ryan Hartman, career year. Is he going to repeat that? Probably not. You look at a guy like Freddie Gaudreau, career year. Is he going to repeat that? Probably not. And you can. And our centers really overachieved last season, and I think in the playoffs you could see that they didn't have that extra gear when we were playing in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
You got to read this comment.
Interrupted. Leading the league. I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. It's
At
okay.
least I'm leading the league in something.
I'm on your show. It doesn't matter to me too much.
I try not to. It's just, and what it is I'm opinionated, right? And I want to get my opinion out. And sometimes it's hard to stop, and hear everything. Or the guest makes a great point that you don't want lost in what he says afterwards.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what I'm trying to do. You brought the conversation right back to where we started, and that's what I wanted to get back to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so that's pretty much, I think that was pretty much it. Is that the Wild, I don't know if we're going to be able to bring back Fleury just with how things are going. We'll see how it goes. Well,
you also got a problem with Kemper, or not Kemper. Who's your other goalie?
It's Cam Talbot.
Say again?
Cam Talbot.
Talbot.
Yeah.
Talbot does not want to be there anymore.
And Guerin says that that's completely the contrary. He said that he's talked with him. They've talked with each other and they're cool. But we'll see how whatever that is.
When your wife puts out, I can't wait for the next adventure, you're not cool.
Well, and that's the thing, you're from what Guerin talked about during that interview. He was saying is that your wife, she is there with you through all of it. She sees when you're, and the big gripe was that he wasn't started until the last game of the playoffs, which is why she was so mad about it. And so he completely understands why she was upset. But he said that Talbot understood why he wasn't started. So we'll see how that goes. But my point,
but they did make a mistake. Fleury should not have started that series.
I think I can see why they did it. I don't know which one would have been better. I don't know if it would have mattered.
The mistake. And I remember when this trade happened, I brought this up to you. Are you screwing up with the chemistry of that group? And are you messing with Talbot's head? Are you messing with Talbot's head saying you're not good enough? That's what when that trade happened, I brought that up to you, remember? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happened.
I said no, and it was true because Talbot, in fact, played much, much better when Fleury came up. He was actually a way better goaltender. Now, should he have started the playoffs? Should Fleury have started the playoffs? I'm not sure it really would have mattered at the end of the day. I don't think the Wild were getting past the Blues. That's unfortunate truth. You guys are just much better built up the middle, and I think it's been understated these last few years how important center and goaltending is in the playoffs, and I think it's probably the two most important positions in the playoffs. And I think you guys had us beat in both of those categories during the playoff series. So I told you, I meant this.
and I meant this from a hockey perspective, the Blues were the better team at the beginning of that series. Now, you may have had more points. That didn't mean you were a better team. I said at the beginning of that series, the Blues were the better team.
Yeah.
I said that there's some equality there, but you have to take into account. So now, see, this will lead me into something in a second, but you have to take everything into account. You can't look at things on the surface. Those trades that we talked about from the hockey writers, those are surface level looks at a trade. That's it. They're surface level looks, and because you're looking at the surface, you miss so much. You miss so much, and on the surface. Minnesota Wild scored more points than the Blues. Da 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 da. They're better than the Blues. Da 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 da. That's not what it was. That wasn't what it was. When you started breaking things down and looking underneath and looking at the style of play and looking at goaltending and looking at other than you had one guy, maybe one line going up against three lines. Right? You cannot. You can't look at that and go, oh, well, because our guy scored 90 points, he's so much better than your guys.
And I don't recall doing that at the beginning.
You didn't, but there was a lot others that did.
Well, because I try to look at things realistically, and I could see, and it was I think it was obvious to everybody that in terms of center depth, you guys had it in spades because we really only had one, I could say, good-ish, like I could say solid center that I knew wasn't overachieving, and that would be Joel Eriksson, who has a style of play that I know what he's going to do. You know who he's going to be and because of that, he was one of the best forwards on the Wild during the playoffs. And I think you guys like his style of game as well. He just plays such a great game. But in the end, what I'm going to talk, where I'm going to kind of end it off with the Wild is that I know we're going to take a step back. I think the question is, are we going to take far enough step back to follow the playoffs, or are we going to be still in the playoffs, more of a wild card team? I think that's really the question at the end of the day.
I think that the balance of power is shifting, and it's going to shift to the Pacific. It's either going to be 4-4 or 5-3 with the Pacific, right?
Yeah.
What I'm looking at right now, without any look at free agency or any of that, just as of right now, what teams could lose and all of that, and what not projections, but just looking at that, you look at Perron. Perron has absolutely said he wants to stay in St. Louis. He's looking for a family contract. He's going to try and get 3 or 4 years to keep his family there. And to do that, I think he knows he's got to get less money.
Yeah.
I think he absolutely knows he has to get less money. Ian, could you stop a goal from Guy coming down the ice? Probably.
Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah. I got a quick glove.
Yeah. So, but when you look at that, so when I look at this, St. Louis has the best chance right now. Is I'd say 80% to win the division next year.
I could see that's pretty realistic. I'd say more like 60-70%, because I don't think Colorado is going to take a massive step back. I think they're going to take
well, you know what? You got 12 guys. You have $26 million. You have $26 million between 12 guys. Okay, let's say that there's 3 of those guys. That's still $26 million between 9 guys. That's so much. And now let's say you only sign 3 of them. That is so much. So much.
Well, and you got to think.
So much chemistry that's going to get changed.
That, and who are the important players that could possibly lose? I think they could lose Nichushkin because I think he wants to get a big pay raise. I think he's only making like 2. They need to re-sign McKinnon. He's going to want his money paid.
No, McKinnon's next year. McKinnon's next year, not this year.
Summer, right? He wants to resign. We should check on that. I'm pretty sure you think he needs a contract this summer. And then you think you could lose. You probably are going to lose Kadri. Now, everybody else, I think, are more so depth-ish kind of pieces that you have a good chance of being able to resign. Let me just take a look at Colorado real quick.
I mean, you look at the 12 guys they got. I mean, it's a lot. There's a couple of guys you say, okay, they won't re-sign them. And by the way, Husso won't be back, and Husso didn't save our asses. Bennington, if you wouldn't have taken Bennington out, and see, this is now back to what I was talking about, right? back to what I was talking about. You look at that Kadri play, and everybody on the surface of that Kadri play goes, good hockey play. I look under the surface of it, and I add everything in, and I say absolutely not. It wasn't a good hockey play. It was a shit play, and it should have been fined and penalized. Yeah. Right? Because you have to, and just like I said, when you look at these trades on the surface, right, you don't see everything that's under. And when you look at the Kadri play on the surface, you don't see all the things that were under. His history has to be taken into account. The history he has with the Blues has to be taken into account. The history he has with Binnington has to be taken into account. You start taking all that into account, and it adds up to maybe that play isn't what we thought it was.
Yeah,
and that's how I look at hockey, though.
I agree. I think I kind of agree. Now,
and then I look at like the Kane quote unquote cross check of Kadri. He did this. He didn't straighten his arms out. He did this. They want to blame. Everyone wants to blame Binnington for Binnington getting hurt. It was Binnington's fault that he got hurt. Well, you know what? You know whose fault it was that Kadri got hurt? It was Kadri's fault. Kadri was trying to get a penalty, was in a bad position, got touched, and ran into the boards. That was all on Kadri. It shouldn't have been suspended, and it shouldn't have been a 5-minute major for boarding. When he hit him, he was on the goal line. That's 6 foot from the board.
I know we don't always disagree on everything, but I actually agree with you. I don't think he should have been suspended. I don't think he should have been a major as well.
It shouldn't have been a 5-minute major. It should have been a 2. You want to give him a 2-minute cross-check for doing this? Fine. I saw so many in that same game. I saw more egregious cross-checks than what he got called for.
Yeah.
Right? And you watch. He does this, Ian. He does this. And I want to get you see. That's it. His arms. He doesn't do this. He takes his stick and does this. That's it. That's it. That's all he did. Not did this. And at that speed. Not this speed. This speed.
Yeah.
Right? Well, and I'm sorry. Just because he has history doesn't mean every play is a dirty. Well, history matters.
It does matter. But I don't think in this case it was justified. I think is a good thing to say. I don't think it was just because I think history mattered in this case, but I don't think it was justified.
What was justified?
I don't think the suspension was.
He's talking about the Binnington play. He says Binnington that the play happened. It was a quick accidental hockey play. No, it wasn't. There's something that got missed in all of this. Rosen. Everyone has tried to blame, especially Avs fans. Avs fans will immediately point out Rosen. Rosen was in front and trying to stop. Rosen was in front and trying to stop. They didn't have goaltending. They didn't have goaltending.
Nothing.
You can see Rosen throw ice. You can see him throw snow. Okay? You can see him throw snow, but you don't see Kadri ever throw snow. And at the time of the initial hit, Binnington is completely clear of Kadri. Clear of Kadri. Clear. I mean, Kadri keeps going straight. He never touches Binnington. He shifts his direction, shifts his weight, and falls into him. And that brings Rosen that way. And that all gets put up, it was just a hockey play. No, it wasn't. If you look, and I've even seen, like you're somewhere that had somebody trying to use this to point out their way with the arrows of it, and then him changing. Well, he's using the fact that he hits Rosen for changing directions. Sorry, you're going straight. Rosen's going the same direction. How do you touching Rosen make you change direction? Well, I don't know if I could find it. I don't know if I could find it, T.
Well, I don't know if we're ever going to agree because I don't agree with you on the Kadri play. I really don't. I don't want you to take it the wrong way.
No. And you know what? That's fine. I get that. See, I get that I'm one of those guys out in the wilderness, a voice in the wilderness. I get that. And I get that. And I bring this up. I keep getting told, well, everybody else says it's a great hockey play, so you have to be wrong. Well, I use this. If you ask 100,000 people if running a stop sign is okay, and 99,999 say it is, does that make it okay?
No, it's still it's law.
That's
Exactly.
do you see what the point I'm trying to get at? Just because everybody says that it's not doesn't mean that it's not.
Yeah, and it's still, and the problem is that's the gray line you're gonna walk through this entire thing. Was he intentionally do it? Was it Rosen who pushed him in there? All we know is that what happened was that Binnington came out of the series because of that, and it's a shame that happened. I think that's what we can all agree on, is that I would have preferred that Binnington didn't get hurt, because I think it would have been a much better series had that happened.
Had Binnington not gotten hurt, right now the Blues would be playing for the Cup.
And I think that's a valid point to make, and I think that's where I want. I think that's where a good spot to leave that.
Well, you're okay, and that's fair. But I have, this is my platform, and yes, I'm beating a dead horse. Just like the neutral zone.
It's your platform. Is exactly the point. You get to you get to do it.
Right. So that's how I feel about it, and we'll go. But what I was saying, we'll go back to what the original point was. The Central Division's in trouble now.
Yeah, and
I do think that Chicago or the Avalanche and the Wild could make the playoffs next season, and that's depending on what. It depends on what Winnipeg does.
Okay.
Winnipeg is the team that I see could make the right moves to take a huge jump from 6th to 2nd or 3rd.
Now, do they trade Scheifele, you think? Because that's been another rumor that's been whirling around. And then if
I was them, no, I wouldn't. But I would bring some other things in, right?
Yeah.
The Blues were not a bad team like that. They scored 109 points. 109 points. They were not a bad team. And you know what? We talked about this. You and me talked about this at the Winter Classic, bud.
Oh, yeah.
Right? At the Winter Classic, I kept telling you, I said, look, man, I think the Blues are a lot better team than people are giving them credit for. And you got to start looking at, and this is another dead horse I like to beat. You got to look at, points percentage. Points percentage tells you so much more than you think it does. It really does. It gives you an idea of where you really are sitting. And if you take that points percentage, you may be, in points, you might be 5th, but in points percentage, you're 2nd. That's telling you that's the pace you're on. And it's not hard. And you're going to more than likely maintain that pace.
Yeah.
Right? And unless you have a June swoon, you're going to maintain that pace. And that's what the Blues did this season. They maintained that pace. Even when they had a March, I don't even know what the right word to say, a March screw up. When they shit the bed in March, they came back in April and were able to show what they were.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The only reason they get in 2nd is because Minnesota did the same thing.
Yeah, but we did it in a bit of an unsustainable light, with players that were probably overachieving, and that was more of a system and then the locker room thing that was they were playing as a unit kind of deal, where it wasn't as sustainable, I think you could say. And
yeah.
And if you want to, I think it would be a good idea to go through the Avalanche's because I have the Avalanche cat.
Okay, go. Yeah, you got it. You got the ball.
Yeah. So who people they I think are pretty important, who need to be brought back for the Avalanche are Arturi Lehkonen, who was an RFA, but I think he could get a good pay raise. Andre Burakovsky, UFA, probably worth a pay raise as well.
Probably gone.
Valerie Nichushkin and Nazem Kadri, who I think are getting to get pay raise as well. Josh Manson on the defensive side of things, I'm not sure how much more money he's going to make, but that's another important piece you need to bring back. And then that wasn't even everybody. That was just the important players. I think there's more, but I think they're a little bit less consequential, like Andrew Cogliano, Darren Helm, not as important pieces. But those are a lot of big contracts, plus Darcy Kemper, and you got 26 mil. So I think maybe they can keep 3 or 4 of those players. probably 2 or 3 of them are gone. So I think they take a step back. I don't think they're out of the playoffs. Is where I think the Avs are going to fall.
Yeah, no, I can see the Avs slipping into that second or third. I could see them slipping into third, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you're right.
And
yeah, and
I see Winnipeg does not have to do much to jump all the way up to second.
Winnipeg's so weird for me, man. I predicted Winnipeg to be second. I believe at the.
Yeah.
Or did I? I think I predicted him to be second at the beginning of the season on the show.
I had him seventh.
Yeah, and that's what's so funny. I had them second, and I can't get a read on this team. I'm not going to predict Winnipeg anymore because heck with it. I'm sick of it. But I know you were right, by the way. McKinnon's contract is up next year, but the talks are that he's going to get the extension signed this time.
Everything that they do this year is going to be based on what they can do with his contract.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the important thing. How much is his contract going to eat up down the line, and you have to look at that, right? If you're going to give him the 10 or 11 million he wants, okay, that's money you're not going to have down the road to give these guys that you're gonna be doing.
And I think Joe Sakic, he's good enough where he's.
Wait a minute. Why can I not pick Winnipeg above the Avalanche? I see the Avalanche losing a bunch of players. They don't have any goaltending. They really don't. And I don't know what they're going to do for goaltending. The Winnipeg has goaltending, and all they need is a decent backup, so they don't have to play their goaltender 60 games a season, 70 games a season. If they can give him a break and bring in one or two smaller pieces, yes, they can jump that far. Absolutely jump that far.
And I think Redbeard, where Winnipeg really underachieved though, is I think we thought that their defense was going to be a lot better than it was, and it wasn't. I think in the offseason, the key moves for Winnipeg is I think they need to add maybe a top 4 defenseman or maybe even 2 and a backup goaltender. And I think if they do that, they could be a lot better. I'm not sure if they're going to be better than Colorado, because Colorado, even if they lose those players, lose 2 or 3 key guys, they're still that good of a team. That's why this was kind of their window this year, was kind of Avalanche's. This is going to be the best the team is going to be for a while. That's why that's kind of where they needed to go to the final here. But it's just going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to see how things.
They're buying a cup. They're buying a cup. They bought it. They're trying to buy a cup.
And that's how the Blackhawks do it. That's how the Lightning have done it. It's just the way it's the way it's gone. Yeah. And
I don't know about the Lightning buying a cup, because buying a cup is a 1-year thing. When you've done it, when you've gone to the cup 3 years in a row, they're a dynasty to me. They're not buying a cup to me.
And I loved Bill Guerin talking about the Lightning during an interview with another. Talking about how the Lightning are, how they just shut you down and then they squeeze the life out of them. And I think that was a really fun analogy where that's just how they did it. Because you look at that Rangers game, that game 6 versus the Rangers, they just sapped the light. Those last 3 minutes, they could not get anything going. It was over, and that's what that's a great.
Redbeard's asking this: Did the Blues buy a cup with O'Reilly? I say no.
No,
right? I don't think so at all, because the guy stayed around. Brian says, could Makar and McKinnon suffocate the Avalanche like Kane and Taves did in Chicago has for money? Yes, I absolutely agree with that. I do think that that's going to happen, and that's what we were talking about just now. That the contracts that they sign now, they got to look beyond what they're signing now. They got to look at what money that they plan on giving McKinnon, if they're going to give McKinnon and Makar that money, and how much that's going to take away from what they can give other guys.
Yeah, and I don't know how good I can't gauge how good Nashville is going to be, or Dallas. They're kind of those couple of teams where I have a difficult time gauging. I'm not sure how much of a step back Nashville is going to take. I don't know if they're going to be better than how much better they're going to be, because it looks like they're going to lose Forsberg, who's a big piece. I don't know. But all I do know is that I feel like they're going to take a step back. And with that, like Guy said, it's pretty reasonable to assume that the Pacific is probably going to take over so we might be losing a couple of playoff spots in the Central. So I will.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I absolutely see it. I absolutely see it. And then, the salary cap for the next 3 years is set, more or less, because when they redid the CBA during the bubble, before the bubble, that was one of the things that they did. They set the salary cap 4 years out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's set this year and next year. But the league has said that they could up it a little bit depending on some things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Redbeard's absolutely fine, man. He's allowed to say what he wants to say. I'm allowed to ignore him when I want to ignore him. I mean, I think he's figuring that out.
And this was about Redbeard's comment before. I just remembered. He said, "Did the Blues buy a cup with O'Reilly?" I don't think they did, because you look at a lot of those pieces in that cup run, they were already in play. You know what I mean? And so with the Avalanche, look at who they have their core places that they drafted, but then they brought in guys like Lehkonen, Nishushkin, Kadri, Manson. They traded for Girard back in this, so they kind of molded all that together. But that year was they needed one good piece, and I think that's what they found in O'Reilly. So I don't think they bought the cup. You know.
I really don't want to put this comment up, but I think it's funny, and I hope Redbeard doesn't get upset. It says, "Guy is allowed to ignore the ignorance if he wants, and Redbeard is allowed to cry when he wants." Sorry, and Redbeard, some of your stuff, yes, truth from your side. So other stuff, no, you try and get me going, and I back off of it. I see that now.
I love that name though, Redbeard. Sounds like you're a pirate, you know.
Yeah. No. For me right now, it's all going to come. You look at now. Let's talk a little bit about the finals. Right, we got time. Let's talk about the finals.
Oh yeah.
You have the Avalanche. You are the media darling, right? Oh my God, the Avalanche are so great. We got to get down and slob that knob. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And then you have the King, the Tampa Bay, and the King has said, "Not so fast. We're not walking away. It's still our cup until you beat us."
I think this is the edge in this one. It's got to be goaltending, right? Vasilevsky, are you kidding me? Like this guy plays out, and I wasn't around for when Martin Brodeur or Patrick Waugh were in their prime, but this guy is just insane. I can't believe watching this guy play. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. This is, and a lot of people have brought this up. You look at the goaltenders that the Avalanche has faced. They haven't faced nobody other than Bennington, who they took out of the series. We're close to Shigerskin or Vasilevsky.
That was
right,
cool, man.
I really. Well, here's my other thing. Vasilevsky. I was hoping. Now I did pick the Rangers, but as this series went on, I kind of changed it to where I wanted Tampa to get there, and the reason I wanted Tampa there was Vasilevsky's not going to let the Avalanche get inside like they do, right? Yeah. Like, and again, this is what Bennington was doing. Bennington was throwing sticks. Bennington was, pushing guys out. Well, the younger goalies weren't doing that, and the Avalanche took advantage of it. Vasilevsky knows what the hell he's doing, and he's not going to do that.
And I'm proud to say, let the record show, I did pick the Lightning over the Rangers, just so everybody is aware. All right.
I had the Rangers. I didn't have the Lightning. I thought Toronto was finally going to figure shit out.
And I did for a minute too, but I picked the Lightning in because I just couldn't. I can't.
You should have got in our. Did you get in my thing?
I didn't. I didn't. But
poor Bud.
I couldn't pick against the Lightning until they lose. That's the problem. Once they lose,
I get it. I get it. I just thought that I thought the time was up. I thought the gig was up. I think they learned something from 19. They really learned something from 19 that they took into 20 with them. We don't have to be the best team in the league. We don't have to go out every night and play at such a level that come the end we're burned out. We need to save a little. We need to play just well enough to win, right? And if we lose, okay, we lose. We just need to get in the dance. They got in the dance twice. and made it work.
Yeah, and
Okay,
this is just such a
they
good.
did it this time. They're a third seed.
Well,
They're a
and
third seed.
look at the Lightning. They have everything they need. They have center depth. They have star wingers. You know, stars all up and down the lineup. Great defense. It's just the Avalanche and the Lightning is going to be a good series. Now, what does the fan in me want? The fan in me wants the Lightning to the three-peat, just because I don't hate the Avalanche just because they're a Central Division rival. So I don't want to see them win the cup because that
Yeah.
means, you know what I mean. So I want the Lightning to three-peat. If the Avalanche win it, I guess I'm going to be too upset. You know,
I'll tell you what. For me, the amount of dirty play that was in that series, the Avalanche Edmonton series, that there was a lot of dirty play, and it was on both sides. I'll admit that. Okay, there was some dirty play on both sides.
It was a dirty series, really, or just chippy. Well, I don't think it was dirty. I'd say it was more chippy.
I'm sorry. You got McKinnon there with a slew foot that was really bad. You had McCarr with a bad hit in there. Who else had a bad hit? Landeskog had a couple of bad hits. There were a lot of bad hits in there. That the one where Kane gets fined. Yet there were two others that didn't get.
You could sway me, I suppose. I suppose you could.
Right. There was a lot going on there, and the refs again. The refs this offseason have been atrocious. Atrocious.
I think we can agree on that as well.
Right. And here's the thing. This is what the refs need to learn. If it was hooking on opening night in October 1st, then it's hooking on July whatever, right? On June 17th or whatever the day they start this, right? June 15th or 16th, whenever this starts. Hooking, if it was hooking or slashing or tripping on October 1st, it's the same thing.
Well, and the problem is that they'll have these just major overcorrections where they call nothing, and then the next game they're calling everything. And it's like, just call the penalty when it's a penalty, and we don't have this problem.
Yeah.
Maybe fans are going to get upset because maybe they get more penalties called on them. But if you call it fair, the game fair, then at least it's fair. Right.
Do you know how that the refs did their job?
Nobody talks about it.
No, both coaches bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
If both coaches are bitching about the officiating, the officials called a perfect game.
Well, I think the Lightning Rangers series was officiated pretty well, and I think you have to.
Okay, that for the most part, yes. For the most part, yes. But then again, why did the whistles get put away?
I don't know.
Here's my issue. This was my issue with the Avalanche going into the Blue series, right? In the regular season, the Avalanche were the 11th most penalized team in the league. They went from the 11th most penalized team to the least penalized team. Whoa, wait a minute. That doesn't... You don't change your stripes. You don't change your stripes. The Blues were one of the least penalized teams in the NHL, and they stayed one of the least penalized teams until they played the Avalanche. And all of a sudden, their penalties went up. But the Avalanche penalties went down. I'm sorry, that's one of those underlying things that brings it up. Oh, another thing with the Kadri that I forgot to mention. Before Game 3, during Game 3, during the second period of Game 3, at the beginning of the second period, both referees went to both coaches and warned them about crashing the net. Beginning of Game 4, guess what? Both referees went to both coaches and said, the warning about crashing the net stands.
Yeah.
You add all of that, and it, to me, it starts to sway the Kadri argument. Look, I get it. It's over. It's done with. There's nothing I can do about it. But I'm still going to be upset.
I understand, and I completely understand. You can't not. I think it's reasonable. I think it would be unreasonable to say to don't be upset because it's like you have to be when it's your team. You know what I mean? But,
It's not only that. You look at you can look at so many things. First of all, the great Oilers. This billion scoring team Oiler. Couldn't score against or just couldn't keep the puck out of the net. They got swept.
Goaltending. That's the goaltending.
Right?
It's
the goaltending in the first round got swept.
Good goaltending.
You know what? They didn't. The Blues' biggest problem was they can't win a 3-2 game. They did not win one game in the playoffs where they scored less than three goals.
Yeah.
Right? They did not win one game in the playoffs where they scored less than 3 goals. And that was an issue. Winning that 2-1, winning that 3-1 game, they couldn't do it. And that's a little bit of a defensive issue, but it's also an offensive issue. Right? If you're going to rely so much on your offense, then your offense has got to score those goals all the time.
Yeah. And it's like, I think I like to put it like this, great goaltending will win you games, win you a series in the playoffs. Solid goaltending won't hurt you, but bad goaltending is going to lose you that series because there's just not enough games where you can't correct it. And Edmonton's goaltending, whatever way you want to slice it, during that Avalanche series was not good enough. I think I don't think that was a surprise to anybody. Nobody was surprised, except for Oilers fans for whatever. And I don't know.
Well, it's a surprise to me that it was a sweep.
Yeah, and I thought they could have pulled out 1 or 2 games, but I knew that I had a feeling the Avalanche were going to do it. Like I said, I kind of picked that before the playoffs started, but I didn't think that it was going to be that one-sided because I think everybody thought that maybe McDavid and Draisaitl can just will them to a 1 or 2 games, but
Well, the issue there is, as soon as they got behind, McDavid forgot he was on the team.
And
McDavid forgot he was. I watched a couple of those times, especially when they had the goalie pulled. McDavid would take that puck right into the zone, and he'd skate back there, and he'd do all this stuff, and he ended up losing the puck because he was trying to do it all on his own.
Yeah,
that has been an issue with McDavid from the beginning. He tries to do everything on his own. There's the problem with McDavid is a Gretzky level talent that doesn't understand how to be a Gretzky level talent. Gretzky understood how good he was, but understood how much better he could make everybody else. And if you want proof of that, I can give you proof of that in one number.
Go, I'm ready. Go ahead.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You take away every goal he ever scored, and he still leads the league in points by over 300.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I figured that's kind of where you're going, but for sure. Yeah.
Right? Plain and simple. He was more concerned with getting the puck to other players to get the goal than he was him scoring the goal.
Yeah.
Right? And he knew what it took to win a cup. When Mike Keenan went to the Blues, Keenan ran into Gretzky in New York and asked Gretzky, what goalies out there should I get? And Gretzky, without even missing a beat, didn't even think about it, said Grant Fuhr. Didn't even think about it, Grant Fuhr. Grant Fuhr doesn't get hurt. The Blues win a cup in 96 instead of the Avalanche.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that Gretzky is even a great testament to, I think a lot of Gretzky's career can be kind of put into a mold now. And what I mean by that is like McDavid, you make those comparisons between McDavid and Gretzky. What did Gretzky have? And when he won those early cups, he had a lot of really good players on teams when they were younger, so they weren't super expensive, right?
Yeah, but so did McDavid. And so did McDavid. He had three? They had 3 or 4. 3 or 4 number one overall draft picks on that team at a point.
But also they had the goaltender. And I don't think McDavid has had the goaltender. I don't think there's been a time, even when Talbot had that really good season, they have not had the goaltender for McDavid. And their defense has been lackluster for about 10 years,
Yeah.
And so
Because they're trying to win the Gretzky way, which was, I don't care if he lets in 5 goals as long as he doesn't let in the last one.
Yeah, and you cannot win a series with just 2 star players. After Gretzky left Edmonton, he was the star. He was the star player for the Kings, right? And even then, it's like you cannot just because you have one.
Well, he brought guys with him. He brought McSorley with him to the Kings, and that helped him out because he took the Kings to a final.
Yeah, he took him to a final, and that's also a great point. But
right? You think about this: the last final that Gretzky went to is the last time that the Canada team won the cup.
But you can be the most talented player on the ice, but the other team can outsystem that talent. You know what I mean? That's what needs to be understood about these playoffs. I think that's what happened to the Edmonton, is that they were just out coached, out goalied, they just got beat, plain and simple.
Yep. Well, hey, man, Ian, thanks for coming on, man. I did an impromptu show, and I guess you saw me pop up and decided.
Yeah, I've been running around all day, and I was like, oh, I just had a chance to sit around. I'm like, oh, cool.
Well, we love you. We love you, Ian. We know we enjoy you coming on. And sorry about me walking over you when I do. It's just.
Sorry about it.
Right. I'm learning a little bit too myself. But for me, sports is great, and I love sports. Oh man, do you guys have a MLS team?
Yes, the Minnesota United.
Do they have? Are they in the next pro?
I haven't checked. I haven't checked up on them too much.
The Canadians in '93. That was the year that Gretzky went to the Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was they lost to the Canadians, right? I'm pretty sure that the 92-93 Kings were the ones that went to the Cup and lost to the Canadians. I'm almost dead certain of it. I could be wrong, but I'm almost dead certain of it. That was the 75th anniversary season. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was the 94 one, but I thought it was the 93 against the Canadians.
NHL Cup Final.
1993.
It was between the Kings and the Montreal Canadiens, correct?
Exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly what I said. Yeah. So that was the last time that Gretzky went to a cup.
Yep.
Yep. No, so yesterday I watched so it's called the MLS Next Pro League. And it's basically a step under MLS, right? St. Louis City Soccer, who comes into the league next year, has an MLS2 team, and they played the Chicago Fire. Man, they look good. They look really good. And I'll tell you what I liked about it more than anything else. I didn't see any of this, oh my God, I stubbed my toe. I can't get up and play now. Give me a foul. I didn't see any of that, right? I saw a bunch of young guys, and a majority of the team is from the St. Louis area. I saw this young team that really wants to prove that they're pro soccer players.
Yeah.
Right. It was interesting. I don't know if we play Minnesota or not. I'll have to see and get you on for a show.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Minnesota's in 8th, so I think they're just outside the playoff right now, is what it looks like.
Yeah, no, well, I think they have. I really do think they have a team. Let me look at something.
They're tied with Houston, the Houston Dynamo, with Houston right now, same points. And if I'm correct, is soccer a win is worth 3 points? Is that
yes?
And a tie is worth 1. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
no, that's not a tie. Well, a tie is worth 1 if you win in the shootout. That gives you an extra point.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So, who did you say your team was?
The Minnesota United, and they're in the Western Conference.
Okay. I'm looking to see if they have a. Oh, yep, you do have an Next Pro team, MNUFC 2. They're in 6th place, and I'll have to look at the schedule, see when we play them. Yeah, but I'll have to bring that up. And we may have already played it once. I know we play Sporting KC next, the Battle of I-70.
And admittedly, I don't keep up too much with MLS soccer, but I've actually have been getting a bit more into
Well,
Premier
you
League.
guys beat back in April on the 24th of April. You guys beat us 4-0.
Yeah.
And let's see, do you play us again? Oh, here it is on July 10th.
Ooh,
You will be in St. Louis
that's all right.
at 8 p.m. your time. Well, you're East. Are you? No, you're Central, right?
I'm Central Time. Yes, Central Standard.
Yep, 8 p.m. your time. Right? Sounds good, man. We'll have to bring you in for that one.
Yeah, and we have some free agent frenzy and stuff like that we're going to need to cover for the NHL sometime, huh?
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Free agent friends. We also got the
Drafts coming up and
drafts coming up. Yeah, drafts coming up. I got to start studying for the draft so I can do a draft show and things like that.
I've been trying to research more outside the top 10 because I really want to see what kind of steals are available and stuff. So should be fun. It's going to be a fun.
Yeah, well, you know what? Here's the great thing. This is what I love about the NFL draft. I don't completely get it. The NHL draft, we pick ahead of you guys.
Yeah, and that's
right?
it's because we got to. That's what's so weird is I thought because you guys got eliminated in the second round, our pick would be better.
Okay, here's what they do:
standing.
The first 2 rounds, right? Pick based on points.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd and 4th round pick based on points.
Right.
The 2 losers and then the winners. So if you advance in the second round, you know, you're going to be wherever your spot was if you know. So whereas I do think that the top 8 teams, the first 8 teams that lose in that first round, they should pick, and then in the second round, those 4 teams that lose should pick based on that. I really do believe that.
And I thought, that's funny because I thought the same thing, and I looked this up the other day as well. And that's what I thought. I was like, wow, that's so we get a little lost in the first round, and we still get a worse pick. Damn, but it's whatever.
Yep, is what it is, man. For me, I think the lottery should be a true lottery.
Think so?
Everything? I think it should be a true lottery. I think it should go. What are there? There's 16 teams in the lottery right now, right? Or 16 teams in the lottery.
I think, right? I think it's 16.
Yeah, there's 32 teams, so there's 16 teams in the lottery. They should put 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, all the way down to 1, right?
Yeah.
And let that many balls go, right? And, pick them out and keep picking them until they get to the last one. To the next to last one, pick them, just keep going and do a true lottery.
Yeah, that'd be
because if you did a true lottery, you wouldn't get teams like Chicago and Arizona saying, "Oh no, we're going for Connor Bedard. We're losing for Bedard."
Well, because they wait it somehow. Where like playing the teams that finished worse have a slightly better chance to win those picks, it's like I guess I don't know how much I like that because then it seems like it doesn't encourage tanking, but it doesn't help it either, does it?
It doesn't help it, yeah. But if I don't like that you can only move up 10 spots now. That encourages tanking.
It does.
Right? I think it should be a true lottery. And now it used to be 3, now it's only 2 picks. You know what? If you don't want to do a true lottery, make it 5 picks.
Well, is it just me? Or is it weird that the Devils, the Rangers, and the Penguins always win the lottery when it's the best players? It's so annoying. I bet you right now Pittsburgh's missing the playoffs next year, and they're getting the first overall pick, and then where everybody's going to go light something on fire.
I don't know. I think Pittsburgh trades their pick away.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is one of those teams. Now, so before we go, there's something I can bring up. Pittsburgh's one of those teams where their playoff streak is becoming important. Right? It's getting to that range where I don't know what it is, 7 or 8, 9 years now. But it's getting in that range to where it can become really, really important. And we saw this. We saw how important a playoff streak is in 1990 or in 2004, right? 2004, 2005, in that period. So in 2003, the Blues, their ownership was absolute trash and decided that they were going to sell the team. Well, they bring in this guy that knows nothing about hockey. His job is to sell corporations. And in order to sell the corporation, he says, well, you got to get rid of all this, you got to sell off all these salaries so you look better. No, you don't. You do the exact opposite. You sell the playoff streak of your team being winners, not losers.
Yeah.
And you still get a team. You get someone that's going to come in, even though they know this. They know that they can. Okay, I have a team that can make money if I do it right early.
Yeah.
Because a team's got to win to make money, right? You don't win. Look at Arizona. Arizona gets the maximum amount of revenue sharing.
Man, I really want to see Arizona do well. They just need to get a true bona fide star player, and then they can build around that.
No, they need a true bona fide ownership that cares about what they're doing.
But I really want to see owner. I think I was kind of on the fence on whether I wanted Arizona to move or not, but I really want to see them succeed because I do have family down there, and they really do like their.
I'll tell you what. The one thing that I would like to see the NHL do now, if it expands by 4 teams evenly. That expands evenly.
It's 4
right?
4 at the gate.
You don't know because right now you have that 8-8-8-8.
And right? I love it. We could just say the same. I would not care if we never had a team ever.
Well, but if they want to expand, if they want to bring more teams in, bring in 9-9-9-9. Bring in 4 teams, bring them in all at the same time. But here's something that I tell these teams, even if they got to pay $1 billion or whatever the expansion fee is, no expansion draft. Right?
Yeah.
No expansion draft. What we're going to do, we're going to give you 14 picks the first 2 years. We're going to give you a pick at you're going to pick in the first year. You're going to pick in the upper end of the draft and the bottom of the draft in every round, and then in the second year, you're going to pick wherever you pick, and then you're going to get a pick at the bottom of the draft. Based on the 4 teams, how you do it that way. Let them build. Don't hurt other teams because of them coming in. You have free agency now, and with free agency, this is one of the things that I caught with the Seattle one. St. Louis got screwed over the Seattle expansion draft.
Vince Dunn was he was a really good player.
It wasn't Dunn. It was Schwartz.
Oh, it was Schwartz. You're right. I thought.
Okay.
Where did
Schwartz went and talked to the team. He was allowed to talk to the team. Now, if they would have signed him as a free agent ahead of it, that would have been St. Louis's draft pick. Done. They wait until after the draft, until free agency opens, and that moment, within like 20 minutes after it, they sent the contract in. They'd already had the contract. That, to me, that was circumventing what the system was. Okay. And they should have been penalized for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it kind of worked out for you guys though, because I think Jaden Schwartz is a good player. But
yeah.
I think I like who you have.
No, he wasn't signing with St. Louis. Schwartz was not signing with St. Louis. We already knew that. We knew he was gone. But we lost Dunn too, and we shouldn't have lost Dunn with the way it was done.
That's what I mean.
However, and this is the other thing. We got really lucky that the Tarasenko stuff came out because we were able to protect Barbashev, because I think if they leave Barbashev unprotected, right?
Have them. Yeah.
Barbashev is gone, and we got Dunn. I really do think Barbashev would have been gone. Well, we're at 1 hour and 30, so I'm going to call it here. Man, I love talking hockey.
It was great.
I wish I could get a standard 4-hour show set up, radio type show where I could get commercials and all that other stuff in and get guests every day and do this 5 days a week. I really do. But right now there's no money in it. I have to bring money in to do that. But I would do it. I'd absolutely do it.
Well, I love talking with you guys. I love answering questions from the Blues fans on here. It's fun.
I call them hockey fans, not just Blues fans now. I say they're hockey fans.
Hockey fans is more appropriate.
Yep. Okay, Ian, have a great night, man. Everyone, this is Guy, the Wild Blues fan, saying aloha and mahalo. And I'm bleeding blue with you. Aloha.